There, my name is Jordan Jones. I am a former AmeriCorps with Habitat for Humanity in Iowa City, and I am here today because once I heard you say AmeriCorps was a government re-education camp or something like that, and then I learned that your son was actually worked for Teach for America, which is funded in part by the federal AmeriCorps program. So I was wondering if your son's experience had maybe changed your opinion on national service funding, and if elected, you might fight for that.
Well, what I know right now is that we are spending 40% more than what we're taking in, and we cannot go on that way. And so there isn't a program, including the Defense Department, that we shouldn't look at to figure out where we're going to cut that spending from. Because you're a young man, and your life is going to be completely different than my life. You're going to see a tax burden unlike any previous generation. And that will come quicker than you have any idea. I want to make sure that you have a future and a hope just like I had. You won't if we keep this spending level up. It's not going to happen. So every single area of the budget needs to be addressed. And this is one thing that I believe. I believe that education is a state and local function. There's nothing in the Constitution that says the federal government is supposed to be paying for education. There's nothing. That's a state and local function. And so I believe that's why, as President of the United States, I would shut down the Federal Department of Education, and I would repeal the federal education law. We didn't even have a Federal Department of Education until the late 1970s, and we haven't seen improvement in the national test scores. If anything, they've been flatlining.
Well, what about your son's experience at Teach for America?
I'm not talking about my son. And I'm sure you can understand and respect why I would respect his privacy, and I thank you for respecting that privacy as well.
This is a college town. There are a lot of young people here, and they're going to graduate into an awful economy, and they need jobs. AmeriCorps is a great jobs program. It's a 2-to-1 leverage. Federal government gives half the money to these various nonprofits, and they know how to spend it, and they kick in the rest.
Okay,
Habitat for Humanity, City Year, Teach for America, Red Cross, they all receive these monies. So I think it'd be a real shame if it was cut.
So the comment was, this is a college town, and this is an awful economy, which I absolutely agree. And it's very difficult for kids when they get out of college to find a job. And you had said that the way to have a job, and it's a 2-to-1 benefit, when AmeriCorps, the federal government program for providing jobs, provides jobs for young people. Now, let's just think this through for a moment. Where does the federal government go to get the money to give out for these programs? They go to my pocketbook and they go to other pocketbooks, because you have to create a profit in the private sector that gets taxed, and then that goes into revenue in the federal government. So in order for the federal government to spend money, they have to reach into my pocket or your pocket to get that money to spend it. There is no more inefficient entity in the United States than the government to give out money. Because what the government does is it reaches in your pocket and takes your money, then it skims off a big dollop for itself, and then it takes some of that money and gives it to a program or a state or a local government. The most inefficient use of money you can have. And as I said previously, the average federal job is now over $123,000 a year.
I made less than $12,000.
$123,000 a year is the average federal job, and the average private sector job is $61,000 a year. So there is no greater inefficiency. And the other thing is, the ship is going down. We're going down. Take a look at Greece. You've been reading in the paper about Greece and the European debt crisis. They haven't solved that debt crisis. All they did is kick the can down the road a little bit. Take a really good look at what's happening in Greece. A really good look. Pay close attention. That's the movie trailer for the United States in less than 10 years. So you have a country like Greece that thinks that it's the best way to do things is to have the federal government pay for the jobs. This is not working. You've got to have a growing, robust private sector if you want to have an economy. I get it. That's what I did We went out and we started our own company and we create jobs. Do you know that the average profit for the average company is 5 to 8%? That's it. You've got to make a lot of really smart decisions to turn a profit. The government makes no profit. That's not what they do. All they do is waste. They don't grow. And so there is a need to have government, but you have the least amount of government possible that's cost to doing business, and then the private sector needs to be the supplier. I want more jobs for college students. I'll tell you who suffered more than anyone this last summer: African American youth. Really good kids who want to work. 45% unemployment rate for African American youth. President Obama's been a failure for African American youth. Hispanic American youth, 36% unemployment. Good kids who want to work, 36% unemployment. Kids need a job when they're young so that they can get those skills, so that they can be more productive as they go on. This has been the worst president for young people, the worst president for job growth and job production. Why not have someone in the White House who's actually figured out how to start a company, how to create jobs, how to run it at a profit? That's what we need in the White House, not someone who is picking out companies like Solyndra. If you've heard of this, this is criminal and someone should go to jail, because President Obama took one of his fundraisers and stuck him in the Department of Energy and said to his fundraiser, hey, take a good look at who these applications are coming in from companies. One is Solyndra, among others. And so President Obama used your money at the Department of Energy and paid off his political donors like Solyndra, a company that got $535 million. They had no chance of being profitable. No bank would ever give them a loan. They never turned a profit. But President Obama pushed that loan to the front of the line. Couldn't wait to get that money out the door. That's not the only one. Light Squared is another one. This is another company that has national security risk implications. Another big donor of President Obama. And they were voting to give them bandwidth. You know the GPS devices? Anybody have one in their car? A GPS device? They were going to give them the bandwidth for the GPS devices, which would have actually shut down GPS devices potentially in our airplanes, in our military aircraft, our commercial aircraft. This had national security implications. But because it's a donor, we got to get it to them. You see, this is wrong. This is the corruption that has got to stop in Washington, D.C. Here's my opinion. What I want to do is give this country back to the people. That's what I want to do. Because the country is yours. It's not the politicians. It's not the lobbyists. I want to give the country back to the people. That's my goal. Oh, and there might be a question back here.